Hi, hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been hanging around these parts for a while. Today I thought I'd sit down and do one of my currently / catch up videos with you all, but then I kind of have run around the house on my way to come up here to hide in Wylder's room to film because it's like the quietest place away from the children, and it's going to end up being a bit of a like show and tell episode because I've picked up all sorts of bits and pieces to demonstrate my points. I've also picked up a hot chocolate on the way because I'm basically grabbing like 15-20 minutes in amongst all the carnage of homeschool to film this, so I'm having to like multitask my like break time with chatting to you, so I hope that's okay. In fact, maybe grab yourself a brew or a drink and sit and listen to me waffle on about stuff. So the first topic that I always talk about is reading. I actually bought the book with me to demonstrate. So the book I've been reading is called A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm pretty sure I talked about this one last month too. So it's a kind of fantasy story. If I read the back, it says here, Feyre, who's like the main character, is a huntress. The skin of a wolf would bring enough gold to feed her sisters for a month, but the life of a magical creature comes as a steep, helps you put your teeth in. But the life of a magical creature comes at a steep price, and Feyre has just killed the wrong wolf. Taken prisoner by a high Fey lord, Feyre learns that her masked captor is hiding even more than his piercing gaze suggests. If Feyre cannot fight, she will lose everything. I mean, if that doesn't sound gripping, I don't know what does. I think when I mentioned it last month, I talked about the fact it's a young adult book. I'm a bit of a fan of a young adult book, but I then read about, I was looking, I don't even know what I was looking for, I was looking at a list, and they recategorised this from young adult to adult fiction because apparently there were some raunchy bits that weren't considered young adult fiction. I haven't got to any raunchy bits yet, but yeah, so I wrongly labelled this as young adult fiction, so I hope nobody went out and bought this for their like young adults because I don't want to be held responsible for them seeing stuff they shouldn't have seen. But yeah, I haven't got to any raunchy bits yet, so I can't tell you. But it is a good book, it's a nice bit of escapism, it's complete escapism because it's a fantasy setting and it's kind of otherworldly, and I kind of like that in a book generally, but particularly right now when you just want a bit of like escape from real life. For planning, which is my next topic, we have been planning a lot of like house renovation stuff. So as I'm filming this, we have not long had an announcement about changes to how they're going to kind of open up lockdown again, but it's all kind of based on numbers and how things go, and we've kind of gone, do you know what, chances of us travelling anywhere this year is not going to happen really. We just don't think we're going to be comfortable personally with the idea of travelling very far this year. So we have made the decision to spend probably what we would have spent on holiday doing stuff around the house. So we have booked tilers, we've booked to have our windows replaced, we have booked having some other stuff done in the kitchen. I think Rich had rung up for a quote to have some flooring redone. Yeah, if you can't spend your money on exciting travels, at least we're going to have a nice house hopefully by the end of the year. So when we moved into this house, ooh, like 4 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? It's 4 years ago. Yeah, when we moved into this house 4 years ago, this month actually, we did a lot of the kind of initial cosmetic stuff really quickly, like painting and changing a few of the floors and stuff like that, but we haven't got onto the like bigger stuff. But our windows really are a bit of a state now. They're kind of a bit rotten in places, not like badly rotten, but they are starting to rot. The double glazing is kind of shot in places and you can't see out, and they steam up horribly. They're awful, so they are being replaced. It's not a very glamorous way to spend a lot of money, and I did kind of say, you know, nobody ever comes in your house and goes, oh, wow, what gorgeous windows you've got. So it does feel like a really annoying thing to spend money on, but I am so excited about having new windows, which I think is probably a sign that I'm need to get out more and that I'm middle-aged, that I'm this excited about having new windows. But more excitingly, we are planning a kitchen makeover. Not a full-on like renovate, no, we're not kind of redoing and renovating our kitchen. We're very much working with what we've already got in there. We're replacing the tile, we're painting the cupboards, replacing the tops. Like we're doing like, and slightly more than just a tart up, but not like a full-on redo of our kitchen, because we would like to do that in a few years time. But because it's in a few years time, we're gonna do like a nice tart up job for the time being. Oh, and because it's show and tell, I bought some tiles to show you. Now these are all tile samples because I can't actually find the tiles that we ordered. So these are all a bit different and don't really tell you what we're doing, but you can tell we're going like navy blue. I didn't realise that when you come to do things like this and you renovate, that there is like so much choice. So we at one point had just the most massive stack of navy tiles on our kitchen windowsill where we were trying to pick. But we have picked and we have ordered our tiles. Like I said, I can't find the actual tile, but it's navy. Next up is watching, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to repeat something that I said last month for watching. So the only thing that I'm really obsessively watching and massively enjoying this month is WandaVision, which is on Disney Plus. And this is very niche. I think you're only really going to be interested in this if you're already interested in Marvel stuff. And if you're already interested in Marvel stuff, you're probably already watching it. So I don't feel like this is something where I'm going to be able to convert somebody who, if you know, I think if you knew about it, you'd be already watching it. Because it very much ties into the rest of the Marvel movies. And if you haven't watched the other Marvel movies, you might want to watch those before you watch it, but it's so good. And Disney are only releasing like one episode a week, like old school. Like you can't binge the whole thing, you have to wait 1 week to the next, and the episodes are only half an hour long and they're gone so fast. Then after every single episode that finishes, Rich and I have to like chat and analyse and work out the relationships to other stories that we already know. It's really cool, really enjoying it. So if you're a geek too, let me know down in the comments so that I don't feel like the only geek around here, because I'm sure I'm not. I'm sure other people are geeks about WandaVision too. Now eating, I can't show and tell for you because I've eaten them all. So the thing that I've been enjoying eating this month is hot cross buns. They're back in the shops because it's like the run up to Easter time now. And I am a particular fan, I have to say, of a Marks and Spencer's hot cross bun. I particularly like their chocolate and salted caramel ones. If you're after a sweet hot cross bun, they are delicious. But this year I'm really loving on their savoury ones. So the cheese and chilli hot cross buns. And if you're a fan of Marmite, which I am, the cheese and Marmite ones are pretty damn good too. Toasted, thin little bit of cheese in the middle. Yummy. So crafting probably won't come as any surprise. The crafts are crochet crafts, and I've got quite a little stack to show you because I've been quite busy. So one is a finished project. So this is a finished project. This is a like snood cowl scarf that I originally made because I'd seen this yarn online and I just wanted it and I wanted to make something with it, and I did make it for myself. And then literally as I was finishing the final row and sewing the ends in, a certain 8-year-old daughter of mine clamped her eyes on it and went, oh, can I try that on? And that is how that story ends. That is no longer mine, but I have to be honest, it probably suits her way more than it would have suited me. She looks so cool in it. So yes, this is my finished project that I have made this month, and the yarn is by a company called Cuddle Bums. If anybody's interested, they're beautiful, like hand-dyed yarns. And on the topic of Cuddle Bums, and probably the reason I'm not too devastated about the thieving of my scarf, is this one, which as you can see looks kind of similar. I'm using the same stitch in this. The only difference is this is a proper scarf, and that's obviously a cowl scarf. Now this is part of a yarn subscription, so every single month I get 5 little balls of yarn to add. Actually, I get skeins of yarn that are like twisted, and then I have to turn them into a ball of yarn, and you go through the colours. So the first month was the grey, and then there was the purple, the blue, and this month has been like this beautiful turquoise aquary colour, which has probably been my favourite one so far. And this carries on, well, through the rainbow. I've got a few more months to go yet. And it's so soft and beautiful. I already just know that when I have finished this, it's going to be my absolute favourite. It's a really simple stitch, a really lovely rhythmic kind of pattern, which is why I did the same in this yarn, because it was just really nice to do, and it just makes the fabric that it kind of creates just feels gorgeous. And another project that is one I'm halfway through, around about halfway, maybe not quite halfway, is this blanket that I've been working on. You can still, I really need to learn to like sew my ends in as I go, because I hate sewing ends in. But anyway, I'm working on, it's another rainbow blanket. So in the first lockdown, I made a rainbow blanket. I might insert a picture here if I remember of my rainbow blanket. It was a really nice thing to kind of focus in on during the very first lockdown, and I kind of feel like we use it all the time. It's in the kids' playroom, the kids build dens with it, snuggle up under it, it gets used all the time, and I just really like the fact that in years to come we might be able to look back with rose-tinted spectacles about those years we did of lockdown, and that blanket was kind of tied up in it. So this one is my like lockdown 3 blanket. I didn't do a lockdown 2 blanket because it wasn't really lockdown for us because the kids were still at school, but lockdown 3, this is my lockdown 3 blanket. Traditional kind of granny square type blanket. I hadn't actually made a granny square blanket since I learned. So I learned, like a lot of people I think, to crochet with making granny squares, and I made Quinn a granny square blanket for when she was a baby, and that's the only time I've ever made a granny square blanket. So I thought it was about time I had a nice traditional granny blanket, as I am such a grandma. It feels only appropriate, really, doesn't it? Now for pampering last month, sorry, hang on a second, I was like, I haven't done any. I was not in a great place in January. I was not, I mean, that sounds really dramatic. I was fine, but I was really kind of bogged down in the rubbishness of lockdown and just wasn't happy, and I wasn't doing any pampering. And I think I actually said last month I really need to try a bit harder and I need to prioritise myself a little bit more, and I have. So I think I basically almost came straight off that video and was like, I just need to order myself some stuff. I ordered myself some hair bits, some makeup bits, some bits that would just make me feel a bit better about myself, because I think sometimes that's half the battle. I don't know about anyone else, but I do feel like the days I get up, do my hair, put my makeup on, I feel better than those days when I kind of wallow and can't really be bothered. And I know that that doesn't really make any sense, but it's like your war paint, isn't it? It's like if you've made the effort to feel good about yourself, you have a better day. So I ordered, amongst a few things, because there were a few, a new mascara. I used to be a real false lash addict. I used to have them done every 3 weeks without fail. Loved having my false lashes on, and while actually I haven't missed them tons, my natural lashes are just so straight and so fair that they're not even worth bothering about. So I bought a new mascara, and I also bought this because I'd seen a few different people now saying that they'd done like a lash perm lift at home, and I thought I can give that a go. Now I don't know if you can tell, it's very weird to be this, but I have not curled my eyelashes this morning. This is literally how I've woken up, and I feel like it's pretty good. Not gonna lie, it was a bit fiddly. There's a step in the steps on the back that talks about cling film that I just completely ditched because I just knew that wasn't going to work. And yeah, it was fiddly, and it did take me a while. I do think when I do them a second time though, I'll probably be quicker because I know a little bit better what I'm doing. But it was fiddly, but it wasn't complicated, and it was easy to follow, and I feel like I got some really good results. And then when I combine that with this mascara that I bought, which I'm in love with now, this is the Maybelline the Falsies Lash Lift mascara, which I'm pretty sure when I looked it up, it's like one of their best-selling mascaras. I've clearly missed the boat on it, but it is awesome. Such a good mascara. I really like this one, and I think this in combination with this has done a really good job of getting me over that hump of the fact that it's been like a year now since I've had my eyelashes done, and I do miss them, and it does make such a difference when your eyelashes kind of look open. So I'd definitely recommend these if you fancy, like, it was an evening. I spent a whole evening pretty much doing my eyelashes, but it was worth it, and the mascara is pretty good too. And the other pampering thing that I bought was this, which is the Bumble & Bumble Invisible Oil Heat and UV Protective Primer. I have eyed this up for a while, but was put off by the fact it was quite pricey. So it is, I want to say 22, it could have been £26. And obviously you can get much cheaper heat protection sprays than that. But I'd kept hearing really good things about it, and I thought right now, by the time I actually get to have my hair cut again, it's gonna have been about 6 months since I last had it cut, and I feel like I need to look after it right now because poor old ends, like, they're hanging on in there, but they need some looking after. So this is not just a heat protection spray, so it's also like a conditioning spray and like a detangler, and it stops you sort of getting frizz. It's just really good, and I've always kind of bought like the Frizzy's John Frieda protective spray. I've always bought, not been particularly brand loyal to heat protection sprays, I've just kind of bought whatever's on offer really, and like detangling type sprays, I've literally just bought whatever, but this does the job of all those. So I used to have like a detangler and a heat protection. This does it all in one. It smells really nice, it works really nicely, so I think I might be a convert to the slightly more expensive heat protection spray. Is really, really good. So it's a bit niche, isn't it? I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you are in the market for a heat protection spray, it's a good one. Going nowhere again, really, because we can't go anywhere. However, that's not a word. However, I have got back into running again. I stopped running in mid-December just because it was manic and it was really cold, and I was finding that with the really cold air I was really, really struggling to run. It was like I couldn't regulate my breathing properly, and anybody who has spent any time doing any kind of exercise, but I think particularly running, being able to regulate your breathing is kind of key, and I would get almost panicked when I was running, like I couldn't regulate my breathing because you try to take a deep breath and it was like it was too cold and your body wouldn't let you, and it was horrible. Anyway, sort of December happened and it was Christmas, and there wasn't, I sort of stopped mid-December, probably around about the time the kids broke up from school, and then we went sort of straight into homeschooling, and I didn't have a time in the day when I could run because it was daylight, too late for me to go out first thing and then still be back in time to get the kids on their calls for their lessons and stuff. It was just a bit of a nightmare. But now that it is light a bit earlier, I have been out a few times again running, and it's like, it's almost like I needed the 2 months out to remember why I loved it, and I've really been enjoying getting back out, going for a run, getting some fresh air. I'm getting that joy of it again, that like warm and fuzzy glow feeling, and even like during the runs, because I know when I first started running, and I have got a like running video, I can't remember what it was called, but I'll link to that down there. It's got some of my sort of starting running tips, because I did only start running last year. When I first started running, I was like, nobody enjoys running. Anybody that says they're enjoying running, they're lying. And even a lot of the time, even once I'd kind of got into it and was enjoying it more, it was almost like I didn't necessarily enjoy the run, but I enjoyed the feeling when I got home that I'd been on the run. But there's been a couple of occasions, like the last run I went on a couple of days ago, where it felt like spring and the sky was blue and it was like, it was chilly, but it was really nice, and I kind of felt like I had the world to myself because it was really quiet. And yeah, I'm turning into one of those weird people that not only runs because it's like good for them, but runs because they like it. Who even am I? Next topic was the buying topic. I think I feel like I've already touched on the buying topic because I talked about the kitchen and the windows and the home improvements. That's basically it. And I also touched on buying when I talked about the fact that I just randomly decided to buy a load of stuff from Boots, loads of smellies. So that's basically all that I've been buying lately. Now my loving, I think, is the same as last month, but I thought I would change it up a bit. So last month, I'm pretty sure the thing I said I was loving was that I was loving using my oil diffuser. There's a diffuser video, or not a diffuser video, like an oil video. I'll link to that in the description box if I remember. And I'm still loving diffusing, but I thought instead of just saying I'm loving diffusing my oils, I'd bring up like a combo of oils that I'm loving. They're actually the ones I'm diffusing today. So today I have got in my diffuser a combination of, I need to try and find a way of holding 3 oils at once. The lime, key lime, brie there, and vanilla. They're kind of like, they've got like an ice creamy, like mint choc chip vibe, which I think is coming from, obviously from these two, although it's not minty. The mint is coming from this. So this is a combination of laurel, eucalyptus, mint, tea tree, lemon, cardamom. So this is, brie there is a blend that is designed for helping with kind of breathing air. It's for kind of congestion, headache. I find it's really good for both of those things. And generally, if there is anybody with a snuffly nose in the morning when we get up, if I put this in the blender, oh, I don't put it in the blender. Going mad. If I put this in the diffuser, I find that within an hour, whoever had the snuffly nose, or that I find is really good, I kind of get kind of like congestion headache here. That's just gone. It's real kind of fresh, clean, not like Vicksy. Well, it's a little bit like Vicks actually, to be fair. But it's just really fresh. But that combined with the sweetness of the lime and the vanilla is just giving off a real kind of like minty, creamy, sweet vibe, which is really nice. And knocked a couple of snuffly heads on the nose that we had this morning. My dreaming thing, I guess I've got to be like most people, dreaming about the possible return of normality. I am trying to keep, or I am keeping, a very kind of level head about it all. I've not forgotten Christmas, people. Like, we got promised Christmas with our friends and family. Now, I never actually made plans to see any friends and family over Christmas because we didn't think it was going to happen and we didn't think it was safe. So we never made plans, but Christmas was offered up to us as a country and then taken away. So I'm trying not to get too giddy about the dates that are being bandied around. I don't know if I'm a dreamer by nature, but I'm also a realist, and the idea that we could be back to normal by June just seems a bit bonkers to me. But I am dreaming of the return to reality and normality that we're going to get with the kids going back to school. It's going to be really good for them. This has just been a bonkers time for them and for us as a family, and while homeschool has posed a beautiful distraction from lockdown, it's not been great for the kids. I've loved seeing them and having them around. It's been nice to have lots of time together, but it's been tough this time round. I'm going to be glad to get some sort of sense of normality back. And kind of following on from that one, feeling this month I'm just a bit tired, really. Like, not physically tired, just stuck in a bit of a rut. I did have a thing at the weekend, like a few days ago now. You know, there's that quote about you can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't obviously keep giving to your family if you don't take the time to fill up yourself. And I literally had a moment where over the weekend, or it might have been the tail end of last week, where I was like, I genuinely feel like an empty cup. Don't feel like I have got anything left to give. And obviously you keep showing up, don't you? You keep getting up every day and you show up for your kids. But I was like really burnt out, for want of a better word, just really tired. So over the last week or so, I have tried to get back out doing the running because I know that those endorphins are good for me, and I've just been trying to spend some time selfishly doing the stuff that fills my cup and actually sitting and watching TV of an evening doesn't necessarily fill my cup, but you know, doing some crafting does, getting out doing some running does, getting outside in the garden with the kids does. I've been trying to do that kind of cup filling stuff, because it's not a nice feeling like you're completely burnt out when you know you've still got people relying on you, whether you're burnt out or not. Let's talk about something I've been listening to. So if you have followed this sort of currently series for any length of time, you will know that I am a big fan of a podcast. I'm a big fan in particular of a true crime podcast. They are my bag. And I probably should compile some sort of list somewhere, because I've listened to a lot of them over the years. And actually I haven't been listening to them so much of late. I have been listening to the podcast I'm going to mention now. I've just pulled it up so that I can show you the little icon. It's just going to make me sound like way like intelligent and current affairsy and stuff, but I've been enjoying the Guardian Today in Focus podcast. Now I'm saying it, I feel like I've mentioned this before. It's basically bite-size in like news investigations. So they do a lot of stuff around kind of COVID. They did stuff about the impeachment, and like last year they did stuff about kind of Black Lives Matter, and they did stuff about the election in America. And I just feel like it gives me just enough information about what's going on in the world that I feel like I'm not a complete doofus, but it's not like I haven't had to sit and read it. I can just consume it while I'm getting on with other stuff. But one of the reasons I'm mentioning it is that the last few days, over the last sort of week, they did a short series within their series, which is a 5-day arc on a true crime story on the Freshwater 5. And even if you don't want to listen to all the news stories that they do, it's worth going and just listening to those 5 episodes on the Freshwater 5, because I've just found it really interesting. It's been a really good story. It's also reminded me why I like true crime so much. I think I need to go and find myself some more true crime podcasts to listen to. So if you're a fan of a true pod, so if you're a fan of a true crime podcast, do leave any recommendations in the comments. I mean, can't promise I haven't already listened to them, because I have listened to a lot of them, but I think I need to go and find myself some new ones to try out, because they're so good. Love a good true crime story. And then my final topic for this month is celebrating. What did we celebrate in February? My biggest baby turned 10. 10, like double figures. I can't believe, actually, when I think about it, that I've been a mum for 10 years, because when I became a mum, if someone had said to me like they'd been a mum for 10 years, I'd have been like, wow, you must be so wise and old and really know what you're doing. And I don't feel wise. I don't feel old. I mean, maybe I'm obviously older, but I don't feel like I'm old, and I definitely still don't know what I'm doing. I'm still winging it and crossing my fingers and hoping that I don't just completely screw my kids up. But yeah, it was really sad but kind of cool that he had a lockdown birthday. I can't believe, if someone had told me back in March last year that my kid with his birthday in February was going to end up with a lockdown birthday, I just would not have believed it. But he did. It fell on a weekend, which was nice because he didn't have to do any homeschool. And it snowed. I mean, Mother Nature played along. She gave him a good 10th birthday. We got to go out and play on the sledge. And we also did an online escape room. We did an online escape room, but we linked up people to do it as a group, and it was really good fun, and Dylan loved it, like absolutely loved it. It was a Harry Potter themed one, and basically you just kind of read through the story and you pressed next, and then you'd have like clues and questions, and then you'd have to answer the question to go on to the next clue. It was good fun. It was a good way to sort of spend some time. We let him stay up late and do it after everybody else had gone to bed, which felt really special, and it was really educational. Like, I don't think he realised quite how much like problem solving, maths, geography, there was a lot of like educational content in it, totally under the guise of fun. So I remember, I'll pop a link to the actual escape room that we did in the description box so that you can have a look, because it was really good fun. But that's all of my topics, so I'm going to leave it there because I've rambled on long enough and my hot chocolate is probably cold. and I need to finish it and I need to get back to the grind. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again for another video really soon. Bye.